Relationships can feel strangely repetitive, even when the people, settings, and promises keep changing. Every new chapter brings fresh faces and new commitments. Yet the underlying patterns and challenges often recur. This can make relationships feel both exciting and exhausting. The same issues may resurface despite efforts to resolve them. Communication breakdowns and trust issues persistently reappear. Despite the changes, the core dynamics sometimes remain unchanged. This can lead to a sense of stagnation and dissatisfaction. However, recognizing these patterns can also be a path to growth. Understanding and addressing these recurring issues can strengthen relationships. Human beings not only enjoy contact, but they depend on it in ways that shape survival and mood. The need starts with physical handling, then shifts to subtler forms of recognition as childhood intimacy fades. A nod, greeting, question, or remembered detail can serve as proof that another person acknowledges our existence. That is why indifference can sting so sharply, even when no open hostility has occurred. Recognition alone is insufficient, as people also need a way to organize their waking hours together. Silence without structure becomes uncomfortable quickly, and social life provides repeatable forms to address this. Work organizes time around reality, rituals around manners, and pastimes around shared topics. Games emerge when individual motives enter the exchange, and hidden rules begin guiding the sequence. What may appear accidental can start following a pattern, complete with advantages, penalties, and a familiar emotional resolution. People often accept these arrangements because even a painful structure can feel safer than empty time. One reason interactions shift so suddenly is that people do not answer from a single steady psychological position. At different moments, a person may sound like inherited authority, objective appraisal, or early childhood feeling. These positions are named parent, adult, and child, not as roles but as lived states. Parent carries remembered commands, tones, and judgments absorbed from caretakers and substitute authorities. Adult evaluates what is happening now, processes data, and estimates what reality most likely requires. Child holds early reactions, including delight, rebellion, fear, creativity, compliance, and hurt. A person can speak calmly one moment, then answer with old resentment or obedient caution the next. That shift matters because each state invites a different response from the other person. The model is not an insult to maturity, because each state has a real function. Trouble begins when one state crowds out the others and balance gives way to repetition. Social interactions progress one transaction at a time, with one signal prompting another related response. When the reply originates from the expected source, communication remains smooth and can continue easily. Two adults resolving a problem or a child receiving care from a parent fit that pattern. Trouble ensues when a reasonable question meets an old grievance, accusation, or defensive reaction. Then the lines cross, and the original topic can no longer move forward. A question about drinking can suddenly transform into a quarrel about criticism, blame, or childhood humiliation. What appeared to be a simple search for facts now demands emotional realignment before words can help again. This is why some conversations end in seconds, while others circle for months without resolution. Smooth exchanges are not always deep, but crossed exchanges reveal where hidden pressure is waiting. Learning to recognize the crossing can prevent unnecessary escalation and clarify the actual response being invited. Not every repeated exchange is a trap, as many patterns exist to make ordinary life manageable. Procedures handle reality, such as piloting a plane or performing careful professional work. Rituals handle manners, turning greeting and leave-taking into predictable exchanges that reduce social strain. Pastimes handle waiting and familiarity, providing people with a safe way to fill time around shared subjects. At a party, one corner can discuss sports, another can compare kitchens, and another can compare travel. These forms matter because they offer strokes, structure, and a temporary map for being together. Yet they remain genuine while everyone stays within the visible purpose of the exchange. The shift toward games begins when the spoken topic no longer matches the hidden emotional business. Then conversation still appears normal on the surface, but a concealed aim starts directing the moves. If this reading helps you understand polite disguises, subscribe to the channel for more tools on hidden relationship dynamics. A game is not merely repetition, but a recurring series of moves with a concealed motivation. It progresses through complementary, ulterior transactions toward a predictable and dramatic outcome. On the surface, someone might ask for reassurance, advice, or fairness in perfectly plausible language. Beneath, The exchange may be organised to corner another person, justify resentment, or avoid intimacy. The real meaning only becomes clear after the payoff arrives and the emotional result snaps into place. One person feels wronged, another triumphant. Both confirm an old position, and the pattern survives. That is why games can appear sincere while remaining fundamentally dishonest in structure. Even commercial charm can carry this double level, as when friendliness quietly hunts for leverage. The dramatic ending matters because it delivers the gains that kept the hidden sequence alive. Once the payoff is recognised, the earlier moves stop looking innocent and start looking engineered. Repeated games often keep people attached to roles that hurt them, as the pain still organises their expectations. One person might use busyness, injury, or helplessness to avoid closeness, appearing completely justified. Another might keep asking for solutions only to reject each one, renewing the same frustration. A spouse might seem trapped by restriction, while also depending on it to dodge feared situations. A resentful partner can take words literally, refuse the expected soothing move, and win through grievance. These patterns survive because each participant collects a familiar advantage, even while complaining about the cost. The reward might be moral superiority, distance from sex, permission to fail, or proof of mistreatment. Seen from outside, the behaviour may look irrational, yet inside the pattern it feels orderly and earned. That is why arguments repeat with eerie precision across marriages, friendships, offices, and treatment rooms. People stay loyal to the role because it protects an older equilibrium they do not yet trust themselves to lose. Games do not arise in isolation, as people learn them through families, circles, and social expectations. A favoured pattern can be traced backward through parents and grandparents, and then forward into children and grandchildren. Child rearing therefore includes more than rules and manners, as it quietly teaches what games are available. Culture and class also matter, since different groups favour different variations and reward different emotional performances. People then sort themselves socially toward others who play recognisably similar patterns. A person who changes games may find old companions cooling, while new companions suddenly feel welcoming. This social sorting makes destructive patterns feel normal because the surrounding circle echoes the same logic. The sulk and the jerk show how early anger or parental pressure can harden into an adult style. One keeps collecting excuses and grievances, while the other sacrifices presence to duty and appearance. Without interruption, the pattern keeps renewing itself through selection, imitation, and loyalty disguised as personality. Diagnosis is not the end point, as life beyond compulsive manoeuvres remains part of the same problem. Autonomy emerges when awareness, spontaneity, and intimacy return as lived capacities, rather than distant ideals. Awareness means perceiving directly again, instead of only through labels and instructions inherited from earlier authority. This is why the ability to truly see a coffee pot or hear birds matters here. The contrast is even sharper in the driver who hurries blindly versus the one who fully notices the present. Spontaneity means the freedom to choose among feelings, rather than repeating only the sanctioned ones. Intimacy means candid contact without games, where the natural self can meet another person without camouflage. This state is difficult because family training, social caution, and old advantages keep pulling people back. Nevertheless, a small shift toward present awareness loosens the hold of inherited scripts. More constructive forms of social life become possible when attention stops serving gimmicks and starts serving real contact. The core change is not becoming coldly analytical, but rather freeing oneself from repetitive emotional patterns. Recognition hunger, time structuring, ego states, and payoffs all explain why repetition can feel strangely necessary. They also illustrate why intelligence alone does not save people from the same old endings. Someone can be bright, articulate, and sincere, yet still walk into a familiar setup. Freedom begins when the hidden gain is named and the old move is no longer automatic. Then, greetings can remain genuine, help can be truly helpful, and conflict can stop pretending to be inevitable. The next practical step is simple observation, noticing when a topic changes but the emotional destination remains the same. From there, balance returns, as adult clarity protects child vitality without allowing inherited commands to dominate the exchange. The most significant change is the possibility of actually meeting others instead of endlessly circling them. When this possibility matters to you, subscribe to the channel, because these ideas reward repeated watching and deeper practice.